to Module 6. In this module, we will learn how to write a qualitative research report, keeping in mind all the previous learnings in the course. In the previous modules, we have learned the 5 approaches to qualitative research, their research focus, sampling, methods of data collection and analysis, and how to establish trustworthiness of your study. We have also learned that qualitative research focuses on participants' experiences, perspectives, meanings, and their social context. Since you're watching and learning this module, I assume that you have conducted a study using qualitative approach. Now, how to incorporate all these learnings in your research report writing? How to make the report coherent, cohesive, and systematic while taking care of trustworthiness? Well, qualitative research writing is a thoughtful and steady process of meaning making from human experiences and subjectivities that you have collected in the form of data. It should be reflexive, subjective, and contextualized. Qualitative research reports follow a general structure much similar to quantitative research reports, but with different assumptions, focus, and nature. Each component of the structure is aligned with the philosophical assumptions of qualitative approach. To report an in-depth information, qualitative researchers around the world from across disciplines have formulated various reporting guidelines, standards, and checklists. We will discuss these guidelines after we learn the key sections of report writing. The key sections of qualitative report writing are abstract, introduction, methodology, results, discussion and conclusion, and references. While you can craft the report writing according to your skill, creativity, and reflexivity differently from others, the key sections will remain the same in all empirical research writing. Let's begin with abstract. An abstract is a standalone, comprehensive overview of the entire study and highlights the key points of your study. It enables readers to quickly determine the research relevance, central idea, methods, results, and conclusions. For writing an abstract, summarize the key points of the article, contextualize the study and the research question, write the theoretical approach and methodology used, including participants' details and data collection process and methods. Outline the main analytical arguments and findings. Conclude with implications and contributions of your research. Make sure to use keywords that offer information while writing in the abstract. An abstract should not contain any citations or figures and tables. It is usually written in a single paragraph unless the journal guideline tells you to write in a separate paragraph for each component. Although an abstract appears first and before the research report, it is typically written after the entire report is written to capture the key highlights of the study. Title and introduction. A title should capture the topic area or the central storyline of the analysis. It should also capture the methodology used. It may include one or two keywords in the first part. It should not have any abbreviations. An introduction section introduces the topic and its relevance. It starts with general information of the topic and narrow it down to your specific focus. It provides the scope, rationale, aims, and objectives of the study. For writing the introduction, provide a robust context and rationale for the proposed research. If you are writing a research paper, the first paragraph introduces the topic, provides a general background with key terms, and highlights the boundary of the study. If you are writing a comprehensive report or thesis, introduction may be multiple paragraphs long or even a separate chapter. Early in the writing, state why the problem needs to be studied. For example, is it affecting a large number of populations, or is it an area of concern, or is it a condition that needs to improve? Then, literature review may be written after the introductory paragraph or chapter to sharpen the research problem. A literature review is usually a part of the introduction section in a research paper, but it can be a separate section if you are writing a report. Engage with the existing literature and review them to contextualize the study. The existing literature may consist of both qualitative and quantitative research. Engage more with qualitative research to understand the existing arguments, debates, issues, and challenges, and then to situate the research study. Identify a research gap or situate other studies as partial or studied from other methodologies. A knowledge gap helps in justifying the necessity for a research in advancing knowledge. Before we move on to the next section, let's see how a literature review is done. Literature review is a comprehensive examination of existing knowledge in a particular area. It synthesizes and reviews papers to locate your research by examining what have been published previously and helps to build your argument and formulate your research question. It is not a summary or a list of views on the articles you read, but a synthesis of arguments, issues, theories, or findings. It is a comprehensive and critical evaluation of existing knowledge in a subject area with the purpose to know what has been and what not have been studied. How to review the existing literature? There are three steps: literature search, reviewing the selected literature, and writing the review. Searching and selecting are done in aligned with your research problem and broad research question. The first step is to find the literature source. Search your literature from reliable source. Peer-reviewed journals, academic books, and institutional repositories are considered as reliable sources. For example, Sage, Taylor and Francis, JSTOR, Scopus are reliable sources where you can find relevant literature. Use keywords from your research idea to search literature on these online databases. You may also use Boolean search to find specific literature. Use different filters to narrow down your search for a specific timeline or publications. You will see a large number of literature results. It is difficult to read through all the articles. So keep your own inclusion and exclusion criteria for your understanding. If you're looking for women's issues based articles but don't want to include those articles that are literary or clinical based, you may create your own criteria to scan and skip. For selecting articles, scan the abstracts first as they highlight the key points of the articles. You will get an idea if the articles are talking about the same topic and if they can be included in the review or not. You can also scan through the articles' different sections to know the relevance. Create a folder for all the selected articles. Create a table for you to keep track of the selected articles. Make note of the main ideas and arguments and your own remarks about the articles. This table will help you to pick up the main ideas for the review and add your own review comments easily. This facilitates comparing, contrasting, and identifying research gaps. You may also create a spreadsheet or Google Sheet for this purpose. Populate the table as soon as a new article is found. Use a table to look for patterns and connections across studies. Also, make note of the publication details of the articles. This process can be done using software like Zotero, Mendeley, and EndNote. Read through your literature multiple times to identify um, concepts or theoretical approaches or different arguments. Categorize or group studies that address similar issues. For example, your topic is impact of COVID on work. All studies that talk about impact of COVID on remote work will be grouped together, while all studies that talk about impact of COVID on work-life balance will be grouped together. If you want to look at the methodological aspect, group all the qualitative methods based articles together and so on. Theoretically, you may group articles that talk about theories that talk about technology and its impact during COVID. This is how you will review and evaluate themes, current debates, policies, common methodologies used, and at the same time, identify the gaps or a different perspective that is missing. You will be able to find contradictions, understudied populations, outdated data, evidence gaps, or methodological limitations. Writing the review. For writing the review, think carefully about how to organize the review and outline the scope of the review. Most common practice is to organize the paragraphs by topic or issue. You may also organize them based on the methodology used. Connect multiple sources to make a cohesive argument. Now, it should look like different authors are arguing over a topic. There will be similar as well as different views on the same topic. This will be connected by using transition words. At the end of each topic, you may add your own remark by highlighting the key arguments of the literature and what do you think about the arguments. In a research paper, literature review is part of the introduction section, so it may have 3 to 4 paragraphs discussing 3 to 4 topics under the same broad research topic. At the end of the literature review, identify the research gap, evidence gaps, or methodological limitations, conceptual gaps, or any missing knowledge in the literature that you think can advance research. A research gap situates and justifies your research. A research question addresses this gap and guides the study to fill this gap. Frame a research question that aligns with this gap. For example, the gap identifies is existing literature on hybrid work models primarily examined employee productivity but overlook trust and cohesion among colleagues. Then the research question may be, to what extent do in person meetings establish trust and cohesion in hybrid work based organizations? There is a close relationship between the research gap and the research question. Conceptual framework. You may have a conceptual framework before you write the research methodology section. We have discussed how to present a conceptual framework in Module 3. A conceptual framework is a network or key concepts or ideas that guide a research study. It is a graphical or narrative representation of how the central idea is connected to various concepts and subconcepts. It brings together existing views and findings from various literature and theories. It guides the study about the relationships between concepts. It also presents the specific contexts where these relationships occur. Write which concepts are related in a particular context, and this conceptual framework will guide your study. The framework will again be discussed in the discussion section later on how these concepts influence each other in the study. Research methodology. After the conceptual framework, the research methodology section describes the approach, specific procedures, methods, tools, and analytical techniques used to conduct your research, explaining the how and why the study was investigated. It has various components. The first one is approach. Articulate which logic of inquiry has guided the study. You can write the ontological and epistemological positions of the study. Clearly state whether the study is qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method research. Research site. So, research site is a specific physical or virtual location where data collection occurs directly shape the context and quality of research findings. It may be a community, it may be a workplace or clinical settings, hospitals, or institutes. Describe the key characteristics of the research site, such as general socioeconomic situations, institutions, traditions, way of life, depending on your topic. In qualitative research, the research site is a context which has its own historical, socioeconomic, and political situations that impact this study. Then, gaining entry. Write how you got access to the research site and establish rapport with the gatekeepers and participants. The process of gaining entry involves careful consideration of the researcher's own background, including gender, ethnicity, and status, which can influence how they are received by the participants. In qualitative research, entering the field is considered as a rite of passage into a complex practice world and a critical moment. Write about how your personal background influences your entry and how you maintain reflexivity. Conclude this section by describing how you left the field after informing the participants. In the sampling and data collection paragraph, write the sampling method that you used to identify and select participants for the study. If there was any inclusion and exclusion criteria for selection, write it along with the sampling method. Describe the participants and their characteristics. Then write down the details of data collection methods used in the study, duration and spaces of the interviews. Qualitative research requires use of multiple methods. If your main data collection method is unstructured interviews, use observation and FZDs as secondary methods. Next, write down the steps of data analysis starting from transcription. Explain how raw data was organized, coded, and categorized. If you have used any software such as MaxQDA and Vivo, write down how you imported the data and coded them. Lastly, write down how you established trustworthiness of the study through its four components: credibility, transferability, dependability, and confirmability. Write about prolonged engagement in the field, how you spent adequate time in the field, building rapport with the participants to understand their perspectives deeply. Explained how use of multiple methods of data collection help in cross verification of the data. In the ethical considerations section, write how you took care of ethics before and during fieldwork. Mention the study has been approved by the Institutional Review Board. Write how you took informed consent from the participants and maintained confidentiality. Refer to Module 5 for more details about informed consent and confidentiality. The process of gaining entry also reflects ethical considerations. It should not be a rushed process, instead, a polite approach to the community and its participants. Results. The results section summarizes and presents the findings of the study. Organize the section based on the key themes or patterns that emerge during data analysis. Present and describe your results. Don't interpret them in relation to the existing literature. Describe how the themes and concepts were derived from the data should be included. Present each theme with its description and quotes from participants as evidence. Do not present all the data collected, but only those that presents strong relevance and the most representative of the research findings. Provide context to the data presented. Let's see one example here. This is a study on social anxiety in adults with autism, published by Debbie Spain. The authors found seven themes that emerge from the data. The first theme is causal influences for social anxiety. The authors present the theme and describe its sub-themes such as autism characteristics, impairments in cognitive processing, adverse social experiences, and negative core beliefs and thinking styles. Then they present the sub-themes and their representative quotes from the participants without interpreting them. They continue this for all the seven themes. A discussion section involves interpreting the findings, contextualizing them with the existing literature, and explaining their significance. Compare and contrast your findings with previous studies, highlight similarities, differences, or contradictions, and explain why they are similar or different. contextualize the similarities and differences. In this example, the authors who have conducted a study on social anxiety in adults presents the discussion section. They present the meaning of their findings and discuss them with their other studies. They present similarities between the current study and others in the first paragraph, and then present differences in the second paragraph. After discussing the data, meaning, and other studies, the last sentence arrives at a conclusion. This process continues for all the key findings. You may have three or more paragraphs in the discussion section. Limitations of the study. You may add a paragraph on the limitations of your study. It may be related to methods, sample, or duration of the study that impacts the findings of the study. Small sample, not able to get access to certain population, limited resources, or time constraints are all limitations of the study. After stating the limitation, explain how it affected your data and findings. Conclusion. The conclusion wraps up the entire paper. It links back to the introduction by iterating the research problem and questions and states how the key findings respond to the research questions. It also states how it contributed to the existing literature or advances research by filling up the research gap in the specific field. In this section, do not talk about new ideas or data that has not been discussed in the above sections. You may add recommendations, policy relevance, or practical applications based on your findings. You may also add directions for future research. One or two paragraphs are enough to conclude the report. You have completed writing the report. You may add acknowledgements to appreciate people who have supported your study. Now, references. References are a crucial part of research writing. They provide credit to original authors, avoid plagiarism, and support claims with credible evidence. They also strengthen the study by demonstrating the author's knowledge of the field, enabling readers to contextualize the study or verify information. Adding references in a research paper requires in text citations and a corresponding reference list. It should follow a style guide such as APA, MLA, or Chicago style required by the institute or the journal. Mendeley, Zotero, and simply MS Word reference tool could be used to manage references. Ensure that every in-text citation has a corresponding publication detailed in the reference list. The format of the reference list should be consistent throughout. Proper referencing is ethical practice in research writing. We have a general idea on how to write a qualitative research report. Now, let's discuss the key reporting guidelines, standards, and checklists developed by qualitative researchers around the world from across disciplines. The first one is Journal Article Reporting Standards by APA. The first one is developed by APA to improve the transparency, replication, and quality of psychological research. It's called the Journal Article Reporting Standards. It focuses on five main components: abstract, introduction, methods, findings, and discussion, areas in the methodology, research design overview, participants' data sources, recruitment, data collection, and data analysis. The abstract should state the problem, research question, and indicate the research design, including types of participants or data sources with analytic strategy. It should provide a summary of the main findings and the study's implications and um, identify five keywords. In the introduction section, frame the research problem or question in and its context. Provide a literature review to identify key issues, debates, and theoretical frameworks in the relevant literature to clarify barriers, knowledge gaps, or practical needs. In the methods section, summarize the research design, including data collection strategies, data analytic strategies, and approaches to inquiry. Provide the rationale for the design selected. Describe the researcher's background and their prior understanding in approaching the study. Describe how prior understandings of the phenomena under study were managed or influenced the research. Provide the number of participants and events analyzed. Describe the demographics and cultural information of the research site and perspectives of the participants. You also need to describe the participants and data sources selection process, including the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Provide the general context for the study site. In the methods section, describe the methods, procedures used for data collection and data analysis. Identify whether coding categories emerge from the analysis. Provide illustrations and descriptions of the analytic scheme development, if relevant. One illustrative table may be included in the results section. In the results section, uh, describe research findings, their meanings and understandings that you have derived from the data analysis. Demonstrate the analytic process of research findings, include codes and extracts of data. And in the discussion section, describe the central contributions and their significance in advancing disciplinary understandings. Describe the types of contributions made by findings and identify similarities and differences from prior theories and research findings. Identify the study's strengths and limitations. Consider the implications for future research, policy, or practice. Developed in 2018, JARS was primarily designed for social and behavioral sciences such as psychology, sociology, social work, criminology, nursing, and business. While this guideline is critiqued for its lengthy, detailed requirements, it enhances the rigor in qualitative research. If you're writing for social and behavioral sciences disciplines, you may adopt this guideline. We have three more reporting guidelines that are used by qualitative researchers. Consolidated criteria for reporting qualitative studies, correct, by Tong et al. It provides guideline for three domains: research team and reflexivity, second, study design, and third, analysis and findings. It has a total of 32 criteria or questions to ensure quality and transparency of interviews and focus groups. Although it was mainly formulated for healthcare research, it can be used in social sciences too. The next guideline is a standard for reporting qualitative research by O'Brien et al. Developed in 2014, this guideline covers 21 specific areas ranging from study design, methodology, participant sampling, data collection, and data analysis to researcher reflexivity. It is used primarily in health related disciplines. The last one is the Big Q Qualitative Reporting Guidelines by Virginia Brown and Victoria Clarke. This guideline was developed in response to structured guidelines. It is designed for big Q qualitative research, non positivist, inductive studies that strengthen subjectivity and flexibility of qualitative research studies. You may choose any of these guidelines according to your research interests and disciplines. If you're keen to know more about qualitative research and its emerging methodology and practical applications, read most recent articles in top qualitative journals like Qualitative Inquiry and Qualitative Research published by SAGE. With this discussion, we conclude Module 6.